I have a friend who has given me some sort of, soft landing, especially in the early days of my company. No like service level agreements, no terms and all the whole documentation. We are now at a place where we couldn't find like a middle ground because of friendship, and they played a key role in the starting process. What's the balance that I need to ensure that business does not stop and I don't lose my friendship?
I think business should stay business and friendship should stay friendship. I have set up businesses on the basis of friendship severally and got knocked simply because accountability. Because business is different from friendship. When you meet someone, regardless of their income brackets, you should make sure that the first thing you're doing is not try to take something from them. When you're value to people, people will come to you, regardless of their strata, regardless of their status. Everybody wants to be part of a big game. Social currency is the new money.
Yeah.
One of the biggest regrets I have in business are some of the friends that I brought into my business, because no matter how firm you are, you will not be able to hold them accountable.
Don't they equate to this social capital that we're talking about?
It doesn't. I'll tell you why.
Today's guest is Nigeria's foremost businessman and philanthropist, Frank Onyebu. He's the founder of Mobile HQ and the co-founder of FICO. He's in the studio today to discuss the role of social capital in business growth.
You have to go into every room knowing that if I don't come out of this room with what I need, then there's no basis for me entering the room in the first place.
Do you think people need to be vulnerable, especially in the early stages of building trust?
You have to realize that people want to be intrigued first. You measure up eventually or not, but get them wondering first.
Before we dive into today's conversation, I just want to say this real quick. If you're just finding us, thank you and welcome to the PT Podcast. And if you've been here with us since, thank you for sticking around. My team and I are building the PT Podcast for people like you who want to grow, people like you who want to feel seen, who want to be heard, who want to be stretched. So while you're here, we want you to do just two things that can help move us forward. Subscribe so you don't miss out on contents that actually sharpens and feeds your mind. That's literally the only thing we demand of you, to keep bringing high quality guests to the PT Podcast for every single one of us. And secondly, you want to go ahead and leave a comment right there in the comment section. If you have any thoughts, please put them down there. You do not know who would see them. You do not know who really needs them at this time. And you do not know who you are helping just by leaving a comment. Today's conversation is one of those conversations that you're not only going to hear, you're going to feel it. And we want you to take action by sharing this episode to your network, to different people building different stuffs at different phases of their life. That's the energy that we need to keep bringing high quality guests. And if there's someone in your mind, entrepreneur, founder, builder, whoever it is that you would like us to speak to, please write to us and we'll definitely make that happen. All right, let's dive in real quick to this one. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Frank. I'm very, very grateful. We're going to start off with one of the early experiences from your early years that shaped the way you see trust in business.
I think trust is very essential in business. I think it forms the cornerstone of most businesses, especially when you're running a one-man business. So at the time, 2015, I had just finished uni, master's, NYSC, and I had to start a business. I was working corporate at the time, but I knew it wasn't for me, obviously. So we started a service business at that time out of Computer Village. What it was we started a repair concierge business. And whenever we would say to people, we would fix your phone screens at that time in 15 minutes or less at your location, you'd see people say, is it possible? Because the general rhetoric around Computer Villages at that point in time was scammers, what they say is not legit and whatnot. So we had to make a decision, first of all, when I say we, because it was a partner and I, to make myself the face of the brand. So I put myself out there as some sort of a catalyst to say to people, hold me accountable. So in our ads then, what we used to say was, if we can't fix it, then nobody can. So gradually, over time, we started fixing with timestamps. Sometimes we'll get to the location 302 and I used to try to make sure I kept it under the hour, under 15 minutes rather. So 302 to 316, and we always wanted to bring the numbers down. That's the timing. So what I realized was that Twitter was really popular then. It was still Twitter, it was an X. So gradually, we found out that when people started talking about what we were doing, reviews wise and everything, gradually trust was being built. So as at that time, it was mobile screen fix, MSF, and you could attribute MSF to me. So it was a case of, is it Frank who's coming? When Frank says it's this, and trust me, from my single store in Computer Village, I went to government buildings. I fixed for most of the celebrities. I fixed for most of the people. Because it's one thing when you're fixing for people that have a direct contact to you. But just out of the trust of my words, just out of the trust of my service, I got projected as far as possible. So I think that trust and the bond, you have to figure that the bond is what people will hold you to. That word, your word has to be your bond. That would be the biggest, I would say, pilot in my story as an entrepreneur.
But at that early stage of MSF, the mobile screen fees as a brand, did you like had to figure every single thing out, especially around trust and networking when you
Oh
grew up?
no, it was simple. We were in an industry where people actually term it as a dubious industry. You see, repairs, wherever you go, there are no assurances because you're dealing with third party parts and whatnot. So first things first, from every level, I had to engage trust. When we started, we weren't importing our parts. We had to meet people in the market who were able to give us the parts we needed. This was before I started signing agreements with service centers to get authorized service parts. What I needed to be able to give customers at that point were parts with a warranty. So trust, getting dealers, because we had so many scenarios where I was given a lifetime warranty on fixes without getting warranties from some of the vendors. So what that meant us at that point in time was, if we finished fixing and then it had an issue, I knew I wasn't getting my money back from the vendors. But I knew that people were holding me accountable based on what I said, which was that we would give a lifetime warranty. So as at that particular point in time, what was important for me at every point in time was ensuring that my bond was kept. That is my words.
But then in your life, aside from the theoretical part of when we talk about social capital, which is like the bedrock of our discussion today, what really does social capital mean to you?
I'm a young man who is just about 30, and most of the people that I associate myself with are people who are at least 40. What that means is that if you were to say social capital, you would realize that I have more than a fair share because I'm associating with people above my age grade, above my peer grade. And this is as a result of the fact that at every point in time, I have made it a thing of importance to hold myself accountable. The streets don't forget. When you say A, let it be A. When you say B, let it be B. Especially if you're coming from a trading environment. What I mean by a trading environment is an environment of buying and selling. Let people know that when you say this, it stands for this, so that when you speak, people know that they can hold your word. Because you might think there are no repercussions. You might think that no one is listening. You might think that no one is understanding. But gradually, it's goodwill. It's accumulated over time. And goodwill doesn't start and grow to 100 in a day. It is as a result of cumulative transactions. When people then speak your name in a room, they would be able to say that, okay, this is somebody that can forego a profit, that can forego money for satisfaction.
And more often than not, you would find out that that is just about the social capital you need in any environment.
For anyone listening to you right now who is wondering what social capital is and the basics of, social capital, what are like most of those key steps that you're going to tell them, okay, do X, Y, Z, and it's going to land you to having a good network of people that you can qualify as, your social counterpart?
One of the things people say to you is when you meet someone, regardless of their income brackets, you should make sure that the first thing you're doing is not try to take something from them. You should be of value to them. Now, when you're of value to people, people will come to you, regardless of their strata, regardless of their status. You don't meet someone on the phone and the next thing what you're doing is you're peddling them with your requests. No, that's not ideal. Because when you're doing that, what you are doing is you're pulling yourself away from them. Nobody likes a problem. It doesn't matter if that person is worth $1 million or $1 billion. Nobody wants to know that the reason that they are being beckoned upon is to solve a problem. So whenever you get into a room and you're trying to build social capital, the question is, what are you offering? No matter how small you are, no matter what you think you are doing, try and pick up something that is invaluable, a skill of some sort. When I started coming out and talking to people and getting to know people, what people realized about me is if you have a problem, I almost always had a solution for it because research-based exposure, I had that on my side. So what that did was in my small community of friends, what they used to call me would be the oracle. So once they just come to me, they'll say to me, I got how far this, and two, 3 clicks, I'll take it upon myself as a problem. So gradually over times, somebody will call you and he'll say to you, call me by my street name. Say, yeah, but how far are you there? I realize they say, now you go do this thing for me. Simplify it for them. And before you know what is happening, those people are calling you friends. Those people are calling you associates because you are of value to them. But if I were to walk into those rooms and when I saw those people and I said to them, hi, there's a pressing need I have, can you help me sort? You find out that gradually they might sort the first need I have. Nobody has a solution for all the problems. The person that you think that's making the most money in the room is making the most money in the room because he has some business secrets that he cannot divulge to you. So get your own secrets. Get your own secrets so that the day is time to trade, you trade secrets and you level up.
What would you say to, especially someone who is like building from the scratch? Thank you so much for sharing that. It hit me pretty hard because I think I like running with this philosophy of impact equal profit. Like, just give value, and then in return you're gonna get value too for the value that you've given. But then we've had situations where a lot of people are building from scratch without networks or privilege. What are like most of those basic things that you tell someone who is building from scratch? Is a little bit similar, not totally redundant with the first question, which is the basics of social capital building and whatnot. Because a lot of people say they are hustling, but hustling towards the wrong end. So for someone who is trying to make fixes to a lot of places that they've had situations before that are not entirely favorable, the basic things that they can say, I heard this from Mr. Frank and I implemented this and it made it work.
Okay, what I would say is, aside acquiring a skill set, which is very important, I would say that whoever, whatever line of business, whatever line of trade that you are in, prioritize integrity over money. You see, we're in a country where money is worshipped viciously. And the reason why money is worshipped viciously is because poverty is weaponized. You know, if you look around you and you see that everybody or most people around you are living below the barest minimum, you will then understand why people crave and worship money.
or you can stand out. You see, 2018, I was in Computer Village, and then when I would come into the market, then I had someone who would always take my vehicle and repark it for me, and just out of duty, he would always do it. And sometimes, I'd leave some amount of money in my car. And when I come, he would have arranged it. He would say to me, you left this amount and whatnot. It wasn't because we were making a killing. It was because you're young, maybe you take out 20,000 from the ATM. Before you know what's happening, you've maybe bought something in traffic. You have some other amounts. You leave it on in the glove compartment, and then you hand it over to somebody who's parking the car. Now, some people who are nifty could see that as an avenue to get smart, to get quick and whatnot. But one of the guys I paid attention to, he would always say to me, "Oh, Mr. Frank, I have this. Mr. Frank, I have this. I saw this in your car." And gradually, over time, I said to him, "Why don't you want to pick up something and do? How much did you make here?" And he said to me, "Oh, boss, some days, some people will dash me money like 1K, 2K. I was like, "Okay, I'll bring you to my office. I want you to learn something." As at that time, we were doing fixes and reassembly of devices. So I said to him, "I think you can stay at the back end and be doing this. And whatever money you make, we share it, Now, that gap was because I knew that he had integrity. I don't believe too much in luck. I believe in grace. I believe that 3 people can walk in a room, and by the aura that defines them, I believe that it is very possible that one person will find favor above others simply because of something. And that something is what I attribute to grace. I think that in whatever you're doing, you should always be able to exhibit an aura from within that makes it seem like what you're doing is not what you're doing. So what I mean by that is, don't trivialize what you're doing, no matter what it is. If you look around now in videography, photography, and whatnot, content creating, you find out that there's some content creators that because of a particular way they speak or way they relate, many people key into maybe their content. You don't know what's the defining factor for you. So if you're a guy who's washing cars, wash it with a signature. If what you do is when you're done washing those cars, you leave a mint, a gum for that person in the car, it would cost you an extra 100 naira or 200 naira, but it's your signature move. When we used to fix phones then, personally, I'm not talking about my company is still active in the business of fixing phones. I'm saying myself, one of the things I used to do was immediately after we finished fixing, I would call you with another number and ask you for your level of satisfaction. What I was trying to do then was make people understand that we have an after service, that our after sales or after service is something to be spoken about. I wasn't the first person to start fixing phones, but at a point, 2017, 2018, 2019, yearly, we were fixing more than 1,000 devices. And this is not me trying to bring, the numbers are there to show. I was with the people at, what do they call it? Samsung, that's at that point in time where we used to collect parts. And I had a partner then who used to supply me parts. And then when he would, give the numbers for me, I would just smile about it. It wasn't because we were the best at it. It was because we were doing it from somewhere different. So whatever you are doing, put a signature to it. Let people attribute this to you. If you're making a podcast, let there be something that greets differently when you're doing that. If you're taking pictures, everyone is signing their pictures and videos now, but you realize that there are some people that, I think one of the guys who I really like in content is Chime Pixel. Yeah, I like Chime. Why do I like Chime? Chime found out that he's tailored to a certain audience, Igbos.
And nothing excites Igbos more than that grandeur, And what he started doing was he started amplifying grandeur, and in amplifying grandeur, he brought them to the forefront, lifestyle. So whatever you're doing, don't be stuck in a niche. Don't be scared of putting a signature. That signature is what will set you apart from other people.
This is very, very crucial and important.
Yeah.
I think I even take it more personal than, apologies everyone watching this now, but these are core principles, like I call them, to grow so much, especially in the business sector, for anyone practicing anything, literally, because leveraging social capital to scale business is very, very important.
Too important.
Extremely important. So I like how you're tailoring it down to the people that we understand, finding a set of people that align with what you're doing and looking for how to do it in style, especially the customer satisfaction that you mentioned. I think I'm going to implement that immediately after this episode.
Yeah, it's too important. If you understand that word of mouth is the most active and recommended form of marketing, you would realize the importance of leaving a customer happy. It might be you see, it's not the guy who makes the largest sale. In fact, we have come to realize, the largest purchase, that the people who make the largest purchases are not usually the loudest. They don't even have time to recommend you. But you know who will recommend you? That guy who came in and did a 10,000 naira fix. Make that guy happy. He's going to talk to 500 people and he will scream at the top of his voice. So why are you not making sure that they're satisfied? Why are you choosing? You see, whenever there's a hair vendor scandal on social media, what you usually hear is, oh, they give the celebrities the good ones and then they don't give us the good ones. They give us the shit ones. And I think it's a wrong form of marketing, because celebrities might bring first-time buyers to you, but the people who will keep recurring buyers coming are those small buyers who will actively spread your business by word of mouth.
Yeah. At what point particularly, to amplify this, do you separate friendship from business?
I think it's a very important question, because you ask a lot of people what killed their business, especially in businesses that require a line of credit. So businesses like item-based businesses, purchases, for services, not usually, it doesn't usually equate, because you're not losing monetary value. Usually what you lose in service is effort, not to undermine effort. Time is money and all that, but it doesn't translate as quickly. But if you're doing a product-based business and you want to mix it up with friendship, you would very soon find out that that would be the demise of the business. I think business should stay business and friendship should stay friendship. What I'm saying is, if you have an item to sell, purchase from a friend or sell to a friend, I think it is important that they go through the proper channels. If your business is structured enough and you have people who are in the business who would then take, who would then take authority of the transaction to ensure that said friend pays in time, whatever, do it that way. If it's not structured enough, make invoices. To bring in the factor of friendship should be discounts. But if you have a business and you say, it's my guy, he would pay. He's my guy, he would pay. No, you're going to wreck that business. Yeah.
Wow.
It's straightforward. There's no mincing words. If your guy needs a favor, sort him out of your personal pocket, not from your business. You bring friends into the business. One of the biggest regrets I have in business are some of the friends that I brought into my business, because what you don't understand is that no matter how firm you are, you will not be able to hold them accountable. When you give them threats, they remind you of who you once were. Oh, we were this. We went to this together. And you're human after all. You're human. You have emotions. You must work on those emotions. So why start in the first place?
But then don't they equate to this social capital that we're talking about?
It doesn't. I'll tell you why. Friends are important in business. But if your business revolves around your friends, you're never going to scale.
Yeah, I agree. That's true.
Your friends can give you a landing pad. When I started MSF, the phones I was fixing was that of my friends. Some of them patient, some of them impatient, some of them were ready to cuss me out. Some of them were patient enough to say to me, bro, don't worry, just try me, see how it go, how it go be. You understand? But how many times, how many friends do you have? When you evolve past that cycle of friends, is when your business starts to scale. It can be your landing pad, it can be your launch pad, they can be your soft landing or whatever you want to call it. But that's all it is.
So in a case where I have a friend who has given me some sort of, soft landing, especially in the early days of my company, take for instance, on my products that I'm doing, and all of a sudden, just to balance this as well, legal is not involved. So there are no service level agreements, no terms and all the whole documentation that would help make the agreements very solid. And we are now at a place where we couldn't find like a middle ground because of, friendship. We knew ourselves right from when I was starting, and they played a key role in the starting process. What's the balance that I need to do there to ensure that business does not stop and I don't lose my friendship?
Okay. I think it all evens out at the end of the day. Somebody gave you a launch pad. Let's try to make this as easy as possible. When I started, I'm talking about myself. When I started MSF, I had my friends who used to give me their cars to go for jobs. I had friends who used to even drive me because we're all young, I started MSF. I was less than 20 when I started MSF. So we're all young. Some of my friends were 21, the ones who were well-to-do, 21, 22, and then some were 19. But what that was that we were in our figuring our life stage. So some of us were very free. So if I say to my guy, come, make we go fix this one, may we see how it go be. My friends would go, they would help me make content. When I started doing well, what I started doing was, if they needed deals on maybe certain items, I would offer it, bro, and I would spell it out. The reason I'm spelling it out is that the Igbos have a saying now, obidiawo.
Yes.
Mind is deceitful.
Yes.
You don't want to make anybody feel that you're indebted to them. So it's good to spell things out. You're not spelling it out because you're trying to be arrogant. When you give your friend who was there for you, say to him, bro, I didn't give you this thing because of those early years, because the body where you put for me that time, nobody do it. And why only you are if you give this deal? Make any other person come in, no they possible. So take off. You do that a couple of times, that person knows that, yo, Frank, they try. When it comes to the core of the business and he's trying to play that card, tell him, bro, this one will knock me. This one will affect me. The one where if you do, I don't do. You should be able to spell it out. You can't report to your friend, or depending on the kind of person that you are, you can't take your friend to police station. You can't, but I can't. So because I know I can't, I found out, as I got older, that I couldn't. You understand? Because I had made multiple mistakes. I have set up businesses on the basis of friendship severally and got knocked. Simply because accountability. Because business is different from friendship. If you are then going to go into business with your friend, I think what you need to do is everything has to be documented and legally airtight. Reason is people change. You have families, most businesses that are started, you see, some people say, oh, that the business was good till I got married. The business was good till a woman came in and whatnot. I don't key into that. I think it's a lie. I think that any business that was good maybe before you got a partner or before you got married was simply because as at that time, you were thinking of yourself as an individual. What marriage does to you is it makes you see things from a broader picture, legacy. It makes you see things from a family point of view. It's your wife that reminds you that, yo, You guys might be cool, but you're not family. I'm your dependent. It's a wife that reiterates that to you. So it's a line of thinking that would come in anyway. It's a line of thinking that will come in eventually. So in business, if you guys are having niggles and you attribute it to a partner, it's not a partner, it's you. Because you never looked at it from the scope of what happens to my dependents. So what the partner does, a partner in this case is your life partner, your wife or husband says to you, what happens to the dependents? So you now start thinking legacy, you start thinking generationally. And that is where businesses now start to take a different turn. Do you understand? That's why you see people, they have a foundation, nice rock, nice business. Partners come in, they split. They're not splitting because they got married. They're splitting because there are now multiple factors to consider. Me and you can be sharing 100,000 naira every day, and we don't care about who's taking more. Because at the end of the day, when we walk away, if I need something, you buy it for me. If you need something, I buy it from you. But when we start allocating things, you see that the problems start coming. Any day you run a JV with somebody, business with somebody, and you start hearing things like Mr. Frank's fuel, you might not know. You now say, oh, you're checking my fuel. Okay, right, Mr. Patrick's airtime. And these are things that maybe naturally you people wouldn't have considered. So that's what family does. Family makes you hold yourself accountable, expenses wise. And once that now starts happening, you now start saying to yourself, oh, while I did because of this or because of that. Yeah.
Do you think that we need to put family into consideration even before moving into a joint venture?
Yes, I think it's very important. I think that you have to spell out whatever it is to your family, because if you don't spell out, then your family cannot say that this is what it is. Don't mince words. It's better that people know for a fact that, look, I own this business, but I only own 22% of this business, than, oh, they are in business, but we're not sure of what it is, but they are all brothers or they are all cousins or they are all friends. No, spell it out. And spell it out ab initio. Spell it out when it's early. Don't wait till it becomes muddled waters before you start spelling things out.
Even myself, I've been starting a lot of projects, different places, and I've not entirely thought about the future partner. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, when we're young, when we're building, what we are is also we're reckless because your risk appetite is high.
Yeah.
Because it's only you. You understand? It's only you. I swear to you, 2017, I used to come back to my house at 2 a.m. You ask me where I was, I'll tell you, oh, somebody asked us if we could come by 12 midnight. And I said, yes, I could come because I'm young. I was fearless. I used to drive from Ajah to First Stack 11:30 at night. I'll see those boys at Orili. I'll look them in the eye. I'll hail them. I can't do it now.
Yeah.
I can't do it now because now I'm now worried. And now there are people worrying for me. Family has come into play. You now have somebody who's calling you to say, are you not done? Are you still working? That is what it is. Your appetite, your risk appetite is a lot more when you're younger. That's why you should build when you're young, because you're reckless enough to take as many risks. As age comes in, you find out that your risk appetite drops.
Yeah.
There are some outliers. There are some people, obviously, who wouldn't key into a statement. But aggressively, you find out that what you would have done when you were 20 and what you would do now are not the same thing.
When someone is starting a business newly, what's the best way you think they should start forming relationships, especially with what we just discussed in mind?
I think what you realize is the importance of community in business. I know people that from church, they became gadget dealers. From church. Pastor said I should come and get this. And when I got it, pastor said, oh, it's good quality. So Sister Mary in the choir now says she wants some. And Brother Duke, who's part of Treasury, now wants it. And there's some parishioners. And before you know what happens, you make some small money and then you put an advert in maybe the church bulletin or the church magazine, and people are calling you, and you stay true to your word. A business has started. There are clubs, social clubs, all forms of social clubs. Social clubs are not just money-based. There are some that are money-based. I have a friend. Anytime there's a new social club in our community, money-based, and it's usually top echelon, he spends whatever it costs to get in there because he feels it's a leveling ground, and then he can network as many people as possible. This is because he's operating with money. Now, if you don't have that at your disposal, cash, there are a lot of communities. You see a lot of hiking clubs these days. You see a lot of groups. And you think that these groups don't mean anything. I used to be very stuck up. I am still very stuck up. In fact, before you see me post a picture of myself or whatever it is, it's a problem. But I realized that social currency is the new money.
Yeah.
And you who thinks you're too cute or you're too structured or you're too polished to be out there, you need to realize that you're no more polished than Tony Elumelu. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then the content market keeps giving. Out of Africa, Davido is one of the biggest artists. When you see Davido promote stuff, you see the hunger, you see the drive. So it's what it is. You who's starting up, let your small community know what you do. Make the noise. Start from banners, start from flyers. The beautiful thing about Nigeria is there's something for everybody. What I mean by that is 100 flyers is less than 5,000 naira or something. I don't know how much it is, but I know it's cheap because we used to print flyers. And if you print 100 flyers to people who care about you, you will get callbacks. It might be 2, it might be 3. Do the job right. It will scale you to the next set of people. Don't ever go in thinking profits first. Think satisfaction. If you leave people satisfied, they want more. It's the general rule of life. People will crave what has given them satisfaction.
I agree with that. Just to balance this question up, I think I want to circle back on how to approach bigger players, especially in certain industries.
Yeah.
Right? What do you think are like most of the smart ways to do that?
I think one of the things that you want to do in whatever industry that you are in to scale up is make sure you become the best at it. The best at it doesn't mean the person with the most following. That's a different case. Do you understand? Now, so what I'm trying to say to you is whatever line you have chosen, there's certain skill sets or techniques that are required to be top of that line. If I say to you, I am a producer or a music producer of some sort, you might not want to listen to me. If I say to you, I'm a music producer that plays over 10 instruments whilst being able to produce, you want to know, even if I'm in Idiroko, who's this person? And what social media has done is social media has given you a platform to amplify. All you just need is the consistency, because one day it's going to come across somebody who's an amplifier. That person is going to amplify it to a larger audience. But if you don't have the test of consistency, of production over time, what are they then going to amplify? Nobody wants to go to Tunde Not's page and see a comedian, and then they click on the page and they see he has 2 posts. When you go, you want to go back to the genesis, and that genesis is what is the story. So whatever it is, make sure you become the best at it, so that when that amplification comes, you're ready to walk into whatever room. So to answer your question, what it would be if I was looking to target a shark today and what I have to offer is the business I'm currently doing. It's like when you're talking to a VC, what they want to hear is your numbers. How many have you done? It spooks their attention. You see people, Nas Boy currently did a 36 state tour to get Davido's attention. Not because he doesn't have 3-4 people that can talk to Davido, but because in this way, he has brought publicity to himself, to the cause, and to what he's asking for. So now, even if David were to decline him in private, David now has to decline him and 10,000 fans. He became the best at what he was doing, which was skit making. Skit making now has gotten him to as many rooms. And then he's now saying, I want music too. So be the best at what you want to do. Develop your skill sets. Develop your skill sets. Be an attention or do whatever you have to do because you can rebrand.
Absolutely. How do you know who you can trust and who to avoid when you are choosing business partners?
There's no right way to know who you can trust and who you can avoid, especially because we're in a con era. What I mean by a con era is not everything you see is as it seems, especially in this generation. If we go that social media is a CV to grow by, more often than not, you'll be disappointed because what social media does is that it amplifies the best of what we are and what we have. In choosing whoever you want to do business with, I think that time has to play a huge role. So, repeated patterns. One of the things about doing business in an era, in a society or a community-based business is that you then have people to ask about. So, for example, you have a scenario where somebody says to you, Mr. Frank, how's it doing? I would like to do business with Mr. C. If you're in a community that Mr. C belongs to, all you need to do is ask 2 or 3 people in that community. Maybe one of them will not be forthcoming with the answer, but you would get something from the second or third person. So I think that's one of the things. Make sure that whoever you want to do business with belongs to a community of which you can verify their character. It's important because character changes, but a leopard or a lion or whatever doesn't change its spots. It stays spotted. So who has beaten somebody is more than likely that they would also bite you.
Well, what do you not do when you don't have access to that community and the people?
There's something people call background checks in business, right?
Yeah.
So background checks are the same thing. It's not you going extensively to go and maybe call the FBI or something, but make sure that you are able to know or trace. There should be traceability of whoever you want to do business with. And in that traceability, you will get people that are in a community with that person. And ultimately, you would have whatever result you need.
Thank you, first off. In the case where you are reaching out to certain founders, like on a more global scale, and there are some informations that you do not know about them and they don't know about you, if you're looking to establish and build trust with them going into business partnership, what are like the best ways, to navigate, especially people, let's say investors who do not know about you? How do you think is the best approach to, get in touch with them?
Conferences are a good way. And when you go to those conferences, you make sure you go to those conferences with your skill set on display. So the biggest question I usually ask myself is, if you give me 1 minute of your time, can I win you over? Not more than a minute. So if I were to introduce myself to you today, I would say to you, my name is Frank. I have 2 businesses, a phone startup
and a cross-border payments company. And in my cross-border payments company, we process over a certain amount of money every month. With my device business, we fix a certain number of devices every month. Now, to make that more refined, if you were to say something like, my name is Frank, I own Mobile Screen Fix, and we have delivered happiness to over 3,000 homes. The next thing anybody asks you is, how do you mean? You must have a conversation starter. Don't do things. Everybody wants an audience with somebody. So what makes your own time different? What makes your own time memorable? Banter helps, but banter, when applied wrongly, can come off as insulting or degrading. You understand? So
when you say banter, what do you mean?
Banter in the context of a good joke.
Oh, okay.
A good joke. But you don't know if the person who you're offering that joke to is in the mood for jokes. So more often than not, what conferences allows everyone is the mere fact that someone is present at the conference means that they came there to network. So whilst networking, what do you have? Do you have your skill set in hand? And are you ready to apply to whoever you're meeting? So you're a videographer who has started an amazing podcast. Whenever you want to talk to a founder, you should be able to say, there's a guy, I've forgotten his name, he's on Instagram, School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
So what he does is he interviews millionaires and billionaires, and you see some of the founders or billionaires who don't want to speak to them, and immediately he says, I have the biggest community of millionaires and billionaires in the world. You want to turn and look at who's that person. And he didn't start it that way. It wasn't always the case. There were times where it was, I'm a guy who wants you to inspire young people. You're on camera, you don't want to come off as a jerk who doesn't want to inspire young people. But when he had access and he had pulled people together, now he had something to brag around. So get something that you can use to form your CV. And then when you have that, you should be able to show that CV to someone. When MSF was looking for customers, what I use as my tagline is, we'll fix your phone in 15 minutes or less, or don't pay. And people started coming. When we had now started fixing the phone in 15 minutes or less, what we started talking about was the numbers we were doing. It
feels like so much of a masterclass to the point I'm even losing questions. I want to bring in vulnerability, especially in building trust, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to, go about getting answers for why vulnerability, if you think vulnerability is something that should be in the part of, in an environment where everybody's like guided, skeptical, protected, nobody is looking to share more than they are willing to. Do you think people need to, be vulnerable, especially in the early stages of building trust?
Vulnerability on whose part?
On the part of the founder. On the part of the founder who is looking to, build trust with someone. Maybe they're looking to do business with them, for instance. Let's say for an investor. Being vulnerable in like situations of the startup, people like throwing numbers here and there. They're not being brutally honest and sincere. I think the right thing to say is, okay, how much do you think people need to be honest with their current stuff?
I think honesty comes in the eventuality. You can speak a good game without being dishonest. So what I mean by that is, nobody wants to go through your whatever stage with you, your hustle stage or your grind stage with you. They want to be attracted to your numbers. They want to be attracted, even if not to your numbers, to your vision. Is your vision scary enough to attract them? So before you get into anything, for example, there's a difference between I think I have the skill set to build something that creators will find useful at the end of the day, and saying, I'm building the biggest platform for creators in Africa. There's one that commands doubt and the other commands intrigue. That's what it is. So when I say you don't need to be brutally honest or brutally vulnerable, what I am saying to you is that you have to realize that people want to be intrigued first. You measure up eventually or not, but get them wondering first. Everybody wants to be part of a big game.
Do you think there's like a certain level of philosophy or mindset that, anyone in the early phases needs to have?
I think you have to be fearless. And that's why I think that there are things that I look back at 10 years ago and I say, wow, I did that. Because you're fearless. It's the most fearless part of your life, your late teens and your early 20s. You are rugged. Like, you want to, there's a fire, there's something burning in you. You're not cautious. There's a show I watched recently about Thailand's first unicorn. It's called Mad Unicorn on Netflix. One of the themes was that he knew from the start that it was kill or be killed. That mindset has to be there. You have to go into every room knowing that if I don't come out of this room with what I need, then there's no basis for me entering the room in the first place.
But what did you do at the early stage when I believe doubts crept in at some point in your journey?
Doubt crept in severally. But you know the thing about doubt? You should be able to hang on to any positive inclination, any positive review you can get. I was fixing some phones and maybe they have issues, we have to sort them. And in the midst of it, I'll be like, fuck, this is not worth it. And then you just go on your Twitter feed and you see somebody be like, this guy's IMSF, amazing, phenomenal. That's the fuel you need. You to be a bloody optimist. Block out all the noise. The noise is the doubt. Focus on that one positive review and jump on it. And ask yourself, if I'm able to get this more frequently, then I have a business.
So someone is listening to you right now and want to start their journey of building social capital, but they are still feeling invincible. What's the one recommended move you give them?
I think the one recommended move is jump on trends. Be in the face of people. You might not be cool at it at first, but that's the thing about the learning curve. I'm speaking for somebody who doesn't do anything social media based. I find it hard to be on social media, and I cried sometimes that I need to push out this and come out there because it is what it is. Be in the trends. People will laugh. People will say, oh, socially awkward, whatever it is. But the more you do it, you will now see people yearning for that which you haven't done. And Baba, do your version of this trend. Don't be scared. Jump on it. You're young. The internet has the shortest attention span. So all you are is a minute. What? Minutes? No, 20 seconds in anyone's mind. So the question is, those 20 seconds, are you using them rightly? Get in people's faces. It's the only thing you can do. Get in people's faces. Get in people's faces. When they search the hashtag, let them see your rendition of whatever it is.
Where do you create the balance between following trends and, because most of us, okay, I'm going to take for myself, for instance, I don't like trends. I know I'm supposed to do the things that I don't like, but sometimes it's against my core principle. Or
do you know that there are people, let me give you an example. Do you know that nudity sells in Africa?
So much, yes.
Sorry, not just Africa.
The whole world, yeah.
Do you know there are people who use nudity to build a cult following, then they now unveil what they actually want to unveil?
Yeah.
A lot of examples. If you go on your social media, some of social media celebrities from Big Brother and whatever it is, you'll find out that The cult following came as a result of this. Then when you now come further, you now discover that there's more depth to it. Egungun is possibly one of Nigeria's biggest influencers today. One of the biggest shocks people had about Egungun was when they saw his partner and they were like, he doesn't have a big ball. Why was that important? Because if what he was selling or what he projects is what he should be having. But Egungun understands. And Egungun started as a dancer, then a performer. So you know that he was ready to do whatever it was as at whatever point. And then he started interviewing people and getting them to show their bums, jogs, and whatnot. And you say, ew, why is this guy doing this? Today, brands now, based on the attention that he generates on his page, brands are now saying, let's use Egungun for this. You jumping on trends, you jumping on whatever is woke at the moment is to bring people. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not the only way, but we have found out that is the most effective way. That when you jump on what people are doing, people want you to be part of that community. And when you're ultimately part of that community and you have built a strong enough community, you can now start projecting other things. Now, if what you have is solid, you might lose people. If it's not too solid, you will lose a lot of people because they will want what they were used to.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want what they were used to. But your value proposition, if it's strong enough from those loyalists you have, you unlock new levels of people also. So it makes it look like the walk is not alone.
What's one of the most how do I put it now? There's a belief and behavior that rules Nigeria. I think this is the last question for this particular episode. Nigeria at the moment, I'm bringing this back home entirely. So we have a lot of international audience, but at the same time, we want to, bring this question, especially for action items for anyone watching this episode, considering that it's the last question.
Yeah.
There are behaviors and there are patterns and there are beliefs in the Nigerian business culture currently. So I'm trying to figure out how many of these beliefs and behavioral patterns have you seen and you think needs fixes immediately?
Or needs fixes immediately. Or there's no, the FCTPC and all those people who hold people to a standard are not doing as much as they can. This is simply because a lot of businesses are too broad. But there was a time where very dark man started calling out businesses, whether you liked it or not. That brought a fear in some businesses. Because even when you're doing it wrongly, the skincare people, they know. It's not as if they don't know. They know these things. We all know. If you're doing something wrong, your conscience speaks to you, so you know. Now, some of the practices that I feel like that, because no one holds our social media influencers accountable, it means that social media influencers ultimately jump on any business without fully understanding the business, whilst believing that adverts do not have any social responsibility. They also believe that adverts do not tie them to the brand. The reason is because most social media influencers do not go through what it takes to become a role model. So actors of old, thespians, musicians, one of parts of gaining stardom, climbing to the top is that you understand that you need to dissociate yourself from certain things to get to the top. Social media is different because just off 1-2 trends, you're not building any character. You might be popular. Now, what this means ultimately is that you see maybe some respected social media people who are marketing for businesses that you would term businesses that are not genuine, scam businesses, And when they are caught, they say to you, oh, I'm not part of the business. Oh, I just influenced for them. So I think social media influencers, especially in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, need to be held more accountable. They need to realize that that cult following that they ultimately build of social media looks up to them as a role model. And if personally they can't be held accountable, I think laws need to be put in place where people who knowingly or unknowingly influence people to, because it happens in the States, you know, you have class actions where it's as a result of this person being the face of this, and you see them getting tried in court and sentenced. So by the time 2 or 3 people are sentenced directly or indirectly for endorsing something that was borderline criminality, every other person or most people will pick up the cue.
It's the best closing thought I've had in a while, because as much as we believe that...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because as much as we believe that social responsibility is supposed to be left for some people, even myself, I have people that are right now looking up on
Yeah.
and say, oh,
Yeah, definitely.
We are
As
all
you
playing
as you build a following, you must realize that you're ultimately a role model. Some people say being a celebrity doesn't mean becoming a role model, but the whole idea behind being celebrated is that we believe that you should lead an exemplary lifestyle. So thank you.
This
Thank you. So
is big. This is big. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Mr.
yeah,
Frank.
yeah.